Thanks to the mad scientist, today I will rebuild Manchester City before the billions of pounds worth of investment from Sheikh Mansour. For those of you who didn't know, there is a fully playable FM database that starts like the year is 2007. We will be taking charge of this Manchester City team with Big Michs bursting onto the scene.
I burst onto the scene, didn't I?
And players like Elano and Rolando Bianchi in the starting 11. So my goal in this video is to win the Premier League title within 4 seasons to at least match what Manchester City did in real life with that Sergio Aguero moment. So guys, here we are into the game. This is Manchester City. I haven't updated my logo pack for this or the kit packs or anything like that, but all of that stuff is available, as is the information in the database from the Mad Scientist. I will leave that down in the description. Please do go and check Mad out because this is an unbelievable database. We are at the City of Manchester Stadium. Yes, it's not the Etihad yet. That sponsorship money has not come through. And this is the squad that we are looking at. We've got the likes of Kasper Schmeichel in here, Chorluka's here, Richard Dunn, players like Richard Dunn is here. We'll talk about Nader Manua and Michael Richards in a minute, but some of the other players that you do have in this team, obviously, that are quite interesting. Obviously, I did touch on Elano at the start. He looks very good in this database. Obviously, 26 years of age, capped by Brazil and stuff like that. Looks very, very good for in that central midfield. And I have to say, Rolando Bianchi is an absolute stud. This guy can just score. Like 18 finishing, he's got 17 heading, 20 penalties, unbelievable mental attributes as well on this guy, along with being 6'2" and 16 jumping reach. But the squad is really, really good. So the squad is really good. Interesting names in here as well. Michael Johnson, the streets will never forget. The Riders for Sale we've got as well. We've also got in our development center, if I drop down here, the likes of Joe Hart and Daniel Sturridge, 5-star potential Daniel Sturridge as well. A very interesting one to keep our eyes on. But we are kind of semi-concerned with 2 English players at the club. The first one is Nader Manua. Now, this guy is unreal pace-wise. He's got 19 acceleration and 19 pace, and he's 6'2". I listened to a podcast that he's on. Fantastic value. Love this guy. Seems very, very good in this database, and obviously we know speed kills, so 19s on both pace and acceleration is unbelievable. But this guy, Michael Richards, however you want to say it, he's a phenomenon. Look at him. 19 strength on him, 16 pace, 16 acceleration, 18 jumping reach, 17 heading. He is going to be my wing-back of dreams. He's listed as a wonder kid. He's wanted by Chelsea and Newcastle. We've blocked the first transfer window, so things aren't going to happen like that. But this is how we're going to be set up. This is the squad. We're going to run this 4-2-3-1. GYR's Black Panther. Very, very good this year. Please do go and check it out. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. But we're going to pin Michael Richards at right back and Nader Manua at centre back. And just so you guys can kind of see, if we pick without restriction the unpicked players, this is what the team looks like for Manchester City. Isaacson in goal. Richard Dunn comes in. Garrido, Haman alongside Sun Ji-hai, Bojanov, Elano, Stilian Petrov, and Rolando Bianchi complete this team. So if we go and take a look at the Premier League and all the competitions that we are going to be part of, obviously you can see some interesting names in here that are not part of the Premier League anymore. Birmingham, Blackburn, Bolton, Derby, some very interesting ones in here. If you've not seen the video that I've done on Derby where I try and save them, this is the year where they had the statistically worst season in the Premier League ever. That was done on this database as well. But we've also got the likes of Middlesbrough, Portsmouth, Reading, Sunderland, Wigan. There's loads of teams that are not in the Premier League now. So very interesting to see. And obviously we do have the other 2 cup competitions. If we do go and check out the Premier League and the pre-season preview, you can kind of see the level of players that are here. We are predicted to finish down in 12th. This team is not at the level of some of the league's top teams. The Media Dream 11, let me just read out the names in here. Petr Cech, Nemanja Vidic, John Terry, William Gallas, Ashley Cole. We've got Steven Gerrard, Cesc Fabregas, Michael Essien, Florent Malouda, Wayne Rooney, and Didier Drogba. Now, some of the players in this team, in these teams, are unreal. That Chelsea team that is on your screen right now is phenomenal. They've just signed Shevchenko in game. They've just signed Ashley Cole in game and stuff like that. So you can see the level of players that are there. You've obviously got this Manchester United team that has Cristiano in the team still. Rio Ferdinand still there. Van der Sar is still there. So some very good names there. Fernando Torres, before he fell apart after transferring to Chelsea, still very, very good here with Gerrard behind them. Xavi Alonso and Mascherano. very, very good team here. So what we are going to do, guys, we are going to simulate Season 1. Season 1 is all about getting the feel with this database, and then we can go shopping for some of the names that we do remember. Obviously, I have the benefit of real-world football and what's actually transpired to actually go and make my signings. So after the season is going to be a very interesting one. But let's simulate Season number 1 and see where this team can end up. We kicked off our opening game of the campaign against Derby County, who only scored 11 points in this season in real life at the City of Manchester Stadium. And we got off to a flyer with both Martin Petrov and Rolando Bianchi both bagging a brace in a 4-1 win. After that, we had a mixed bag of results, picking up some nice wins against Newcastle and Spurs, but we did suffer a shock defeat to Reading on the road. Things did settle down from October onwards as we put together a remarkable run, winning 14 out of our next 15 games, only dropping 2 points on the road to Arsenal. That run even included a nice win against the stacked Manchester United team at home, with Petrov again the man on the score sheet. Key man for us up front was Rolando Bianchi, who managed to score an impressive 31 goals in 36 Premier League appearances this season and looks like a real workhorse up top. Pulling the strings for us in the centre of the pitch was Brazilian Elano, who contributed 14 goals and 13 assists in the Premier League, whilst recording our highest average rating for the season. In the second half of the season, we were still picking up impressive results, but did suffer 4 defeats, losing to Chelsea, Newcastle, United and Liverpool to ultimately finish the season second in the table, but qualify for the Champions League. Despite a remarkable season for this team, we were still 5 points behind champions Manchester United, who have this Cristiano Ronaldo fella who looks pretty good in the game. In the Cups, we progressed through the early rounds of the League Cup against lower league opposition before facing Portsmouth in the quarter-final. We took the lead at Fratton Park with Elano firing beyond David James in the Pompey net. However, Portsmouth did manage to pull themselves level, with Jimmy Traoré scoring the equaliser after a massive deflection. The game then went on to penalties, and despite Kanu missing the first spot kick for Portsmouth, they did manage to win the shootout 8-7, with Javier Garrido missing the final penalty for us. And in the FA Cup, we knocked out West Ham in the third round before being comfortably dispatched by Chelsea, with Joe Hart having a bit of a stinker in between the sticks. This was a remarkable season all told, as the real City team finished down in 9th in the actual season, so Champions League football already is huge for this save. But this is where things get really fun, because now I can go shopping in this retro database, knowing the players that develop into absolute monsters. So let's go shopping. So here we are, ready for season number 2, and we are on the transfers page because I've made some business already. Andreas Isaacson has departed. He has gone to Bayern Munich, our goalkeeper. I'm kind of going to think I'm going to put the faith in Joe Hart, or maybe, just maybe, I might try and bring in a different keeper. He departed to Bayern Munich for £3.5 million. Georgios Samaras, who barely played for us last season, the Greek international, he's gone over to Torino in Serie A. Emil Mpenza has gone as well. Michael Connor we've sold to Bristol City. But on the incoming side of things, this is where we get interesting. So first of all, we picked up this man, Marco Reus. Yes, he is young. He hasn't arrived at Dortmund yet. Let me switch this over to career stats. He hasn't arrived at Dortmund just yet, or back at Dortmund just yet, should I say. He was picked up on a free transfer. Lots of teams want him on loan. I'm happy for him to go out, but Marco Reus on a free, I couldn't not do it. Then, now, he was at Atletico Madrid. We had to pick him up. We want our Aguero moment with Sergio Aguero. I spent £45 million on Sergio Aguero. That was his minimum fee release clause. And I think we'll all agree, attribute-wise, he looks outstanding. 19 dribbling, 17 finishing, 16 first touch, along with 18 technique, high composure, 19 acceleration. He had a decent season at Atletico, I guess, if you think 19 in 32 is pretty good. Pay £45 million for him. He is going to be our new number 10. We want that Aguero moment. I had to sign Sergio Aguero. Then this is where I kind of got interested in my shopping. We picked up Luka Modric for £10 million from Dinamo Zagreb. He hadn't moved to the Premier League or anything just yet. Looks like a fantastic player. Obviously, he's only 22 years of age in game right now. Can play in the central attack and midfield spot, can play out on the left, and also can play in a number of other positions should we need him. Model citizen personality. Luka Modric looks great, especially for £10 million. The biggest bargain of the summer, though, is this man, Thiago Silva. He has has arrived from Fluminense over in Brazil, not arrived at AC Milan yet. High pace for the type of position that he plays, good positioning, good determination. Obviously, he's a pretty good leader as well, or will develop into one. Another model citizen personality to come into the team, and I think he looks fantastic. And then we picked up David Luiz. Now, he is listed as a centre-back, but I think with his attributes, I'm going to try and play him at defensive midfield. I remember back in the day, he had several FIFA cards that were defensive midfielders, and they were all very, very good. I think he can be it. We are currently training him to be a defensive midfielder, and I am going to play him there all season. So I'm hoping he kind of does develop into that position really, really nicely. The team is looking pretty good. What we are going to do, this is our best 11 as things are. If I quick pick without restriction, our best 11 just to make sure. Yeah, they keep putting David Luiz into the centre-back spot. And we're going to bring Nader Manua back into this team. So this is how we are going to go into it, going into season number 2. Yes, Modric is out on the left-hand side. Probably not ideal for him, but I need to get him in the team right now. Obviously, we're a little bit light at goalkeeper. Joe Hart hasn't really developed enough yet. So I'm potentially thinking of going and signing another goalkeeper that could make a difference. But there is still weaknesses in this team. So obviously, I'm hoping we can do quite well, but we're going to have to see ultimately. If we go onto the competitions tab, you can see what we are in. We do have the Community Shield where we take on Manchester United. They won both the league and the cup. So, yep. That's why we're taking on Manchester United, because we came second in the league. We do enter the Champions League, though, so that is much earlier than City did in real life. So we're going to have to see what we can do there. Obviously, I'd love to get a Champions League title before we get to the year 2023 in real life. So I've got lots of time to do it. But some of the teams in continental competitions, guys, they are just staggeringly good. The likes of Barcelona, if you think with Messi, Ronaldinho, etc. There's some tough competition. If we go into the Premier League, though, when we take a look at the season preview, obviously players are moving in and out around some of these clubs. This is one of the bigger ones. Sergio Ramos has gone from Real Madrid. He is now at Chelsea. I wanted Ramos, but Chelsea at the time, very big hitters. Man City not necessarily having the reputation. We've massively improved ourselves. We are now 25-1 to win the Premier League. So I'm hoping we can get back in that top 4, and another couple of seasons in the Champions League would be superb for us. Hopefully we can do something. Let's simulate season number 2. We opened the season with a Manchester derby in the Community Shield, and we started this game well, forcing Rio Ferdinand to turn the ball into his own net for the opener. On the stroke of half-time, we made it 2-0 with that man Martin Petrov firing the ball past Van der Sar. United did pull a goal back through who else but Cristiano Ronaldo, tapping home from close range after Joe Hart was able to deny a powerful Vidic header. But with United chasing the game, we were able to put it to bed with Wes Brown scoring another own goal and Rolando Bianchi putting us out of sight in the 94th minute. This was a huge statement of intent. We beat last season's Premier League winners in the season opener. I know it's the Community Shield, but that's a good thing though, right? Beating the season's champions, I think it's a good sign. With our first trophy in the bag, I added another 2 players to the squad before the transfer window closed, as we signed Manuel Neuer from Schalke for £35 million to become our new number 1, and we somehow managed to pick up the loan signing of Javier Mascherano, who wanted to leave Liverpool. The next competition to be decided was the League Cup, where for a second season we were knocked out on penalties. We defeated Bournemouth and Port Vale before taking on Arsenal at the Emirates in the quarter-final. Sergio Aguero struck first to give us the lead on the stroke of half-time, but Alejandro Gomez managed to pull Arsenal level in the second half. The Gunners scored all of their penalties, but we have Valery Bozhanov and Elano both see their penalties come crashing back off the same post. We performed much better in the FA Cup this season, dispatching Plymouth, Sheffield United and Watford in the early rounds to set up a quarter-final with West Ham at home. This game was much easier than I expected, as we took the lead through Bianchi before Lucas Neal received his marching orders, getting a straight red card with 12 minutes left in the game. With the extra man advantage, we managed to put the game to bed with another goal from Bianchi, Javier Guerreiro and Ishmael Miller all getting on the score sheet. This saw us move into the FA Cup semi-finals, where we would face Chelsea at Wembley. We took the lead in this one with the first half goal from Elano tapping home after a defensive mix-up from Chelsea. However, this Chelsea team made a habit of being clutch, and you can never count out Didier Drogba, who equalised in the 93rd minute, lashing the ball beyond Neuer. That goal really gave Chelsea the confidence to attack in extra time, and Solomon Kalou scored this acrobatic effort to give Chelsea the win. In the Premier League, we started like a house on fire, winning 10 of our first 11 games, including impressive away wins at the Emirates, Stamford Bridge and Old Trafford to see us fly up the table. It will come as no surprise that Sergio Aguero was our key man this season, scoring 25 goals and providing 14 assists in his first season at the club. But we also had Big Michs having a huge season at right back, scoring 8 goals in all competitions, but also providing a staggering 26 assists. The second half of the season was much like the first, with us smashing teams and looking the real deal, even with the odd draw sprinkled in there. And ultimately, it would be those draws that would cost us the title, as Manchester United managed to score 97 points this season and pip us to the title by 4 points. Looking at the expanded table, we needed to tighten up defensively, so that will be where I look to spend the money over the summer window. Season 2 saw us return to the Champions League, but ultimately with the way that FM is coded, we cannot change the format to be back to the group stage, so unfortunately we're stuck with the new format in this save. In the league phase, we had mixed results, winning 4 and losing 4 of our fixtures to finish 18th in the table and qualify for the knockout stages of the competition. Here we drew German side Werder Bremen and we'd be at home in the first leg. And at the City of Manchester Stadium, we dominated the game from the off, with us running up a quick 3-goal lead inside the first 16 minutes. Elano added a 4th in the second half for good measure, but we were effectively through in this tie before the game away from home. We kept up that pressure in the away leg as Martin Petrov added a quick-fire first-half double to ultimately see us win the tie 6-1 on aggregate. This set up a huge Manchester derby in the round of 16, and we'd be at home against United in the first leg. It was a cagey one at the City at Manchester Stadium, but we finally got the breakthrough in the second half as Sergio Aguero fired past Ben Foster after a Mika Richards cross. However, in the return leg at Old Trafford, United dominated the proceedings, with Carlos Tevez bagging a brace and Owen Hargreaves adding a penalty in the 92nd minute to see the tie end 3-1 and United go marching on in the competition. Ultimately, we basically ended the season empty-handed other than the Community Shield, so there is still plenty of work to be done over the summer to close that gap on our City rivals. We have just over £74 million to spend, and I'll be focusing on improving us at the back as a key priority. So guys, transfer update for season number 3 with this Manchester City retro rebuild, and we've managed to sell one of our big hitters because I think he was kind of getting a little bit frustrated that we are prioritizing Aguero, and you can't blame him. Rolando Bianchi has now departed to Valencia. He has gone over. He has developed really nicely into a really good player, but we sold him to Valencia for £47 million. Absolutely smashed it. I think he was a great servant to us at the club, but he's not Sergio Aguero. So we put that money with some of the money that we did have ourselves, and we managed to get some good signings. Now, obviously, I did make some pretty early doors. We spent 60 million on Gareth Bale, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Gareth Bale looks like in game. I'm going to play him at left back. I'm probably wasting him, but I'm going to play him at left back. 60 million quid for Gareth Bale. Another model citizen, another wonder kid coming into the team. He's 20 years of age, is Bale on here. 16 crossing, good free kick taken, of course. Good penalties and long throws as well. Really physical as well. I'm expecting him to only get better and better, but we picked up ourselves Gareth Bale to play in left back, believe it or not, and to come in alongside David Luiz, another actual Manchester City legend. We've picked up ourselves Yaya Toure. He's going to play as a defence midfielder here, as I said, alongside David Luiz. Technique up the wazoo, great passing, great first touch. It's Yaya bloody Toure. He's going to be a monster. We've also been and spent some other money in some other areas. First up, we picked up Hulk from Porto. Now, he'd already moved in game. He was at Vitoria. He'd moved to Porto like he did in real life, and he looks like an absolute freak. Physically, he looks like an absolute monster. I want him to play on the right-hand side, which is where he spent a decent amount of his career. So we are training him there, but I think his 18 long shots, his 16 off the ball, coupled with those physicals, are going to make him a real handful, cutting in on that left foot, Iron Robin style, and lashing them home. Now, I'm going to talk about Yuri Zhirkov next. He hasn't moved to Chelsea in-game. We got him from CSKA Moscow. Looks very good, very fast, very good crossing, good first touch, good dribbling and stuff like that. I think he's a good substitute option for us on that left-hand side. Russian international. If you remember Yuri Zhirkov, you remember he was quite quick. Didn't necessarily perform at Chelsea as people were expecting. And then we signed Per Mertesacker. Now, I'm going to give you a second. What's wrong with Per Mertesacker as you remember him? I'm just going to give you a second. Yeah, he's got 15 pace and 16 acceleration, has Per Mertesacker. I wasn't planning on signing him, but when I was looking at the Bremen and some of the players out there, I thought I need a guy who is 6'6" with his jumping reach and all of his good mental attributes and technical, with the fact that he can run. I think he's going to be an absolute beast. So we've brought him in. Per Mertesacker is here to play at centre-back for us. I can't believe it. He's got 16 leadership, the guy. I think we've had an absolute blinder and really, really improved defensively. Now, I said I wanted to play Hulk out on this side, so we're going to pick the unpicked positions, and this is how we are set up. And the game is doing an absolute madness here because it's dropped Sergio Aguero, probably because he needs rest. But this is how I think we are going to start the season, ladies and gentlemen. Neuer in goal, Mika Richards, Mertesacker alongside Gianluca. I've got Gareth Bale, David Luiz, who is now a natural in this defensive midfield position. He's supremely accomplished there and was very good for us there. Alongside Yaya Toure, Hulk, Modric, Zhirkov, and then Sergio Aguero up top. We still do have Nader Manua. We still do have Thiago Silva, Elano, Michael Johnson. Stephen Ireland is still here as well. Joe Hart's our backup goalkeeper. The team's looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. And I'm hoping this front four causes all sorts of damage. Now, obviously, we're back in the same 5 competitions as last season because we were runners-up again. Yes, United did more things. They just continue to win things. Did they win the Champions League? No. So they're just winning domestic doubles, League and FA Cup every single season so far. So we're going to take on United in the Community Shield. We're back in the Champions League and in the Premier League. This is how we are looking. United have won it the last 3 years in a row, of course. And this is how we are set up. We finally got players in the Media Dream 11. It's Mika Richards and Sergio Aguero are in there, which is not too bad considering some of the players in the league. But I think we can have a good season this year. Is this the year we finally topple Manchester United? Chelsea and United are joint favourites for the title. Arsenal are still lurking there and Liverpool are above us. So let's see what we can do in season number 3. Mertesacker with that much pace. He's going to be a beast, isn't he? For a second year in a row, we opened the season with a Manchester derby in the Community Shield, and for a second time, we'd come out on top. Elano gave us the lead, but his goal was quickly cancelled out by Owen Hargreaves. Then in the second half, Aguero put us back into the lead before Per Mertesacker added a debut goal to put the game beyond doubt. This season, we needed to win a lot more than just the Community Shield. The next winnable competition on the schedule would be the League Cup, where we would comfortably power through the early rounds before meeting Liverpool in the semis. This would be a 2-legged affair, and in the home leg we opened up a massive lead with Yuri Zhirkov scoring a hat-trick and providing an assist in a demolition job of Liverpool. We rotated in the second leg but extended our aggregate lead through Luka Modric before Luka scored twice through Fernando Torres and Bueno. But the tie was long gone for them and we moved into the final where we would take on Manchester United. As you'd expect, this was a very tight affair, with Hulk giving us the lead in the game twice, only to see Michael Carrick and Cristiano Ronaldo pull the Red Devils level respectively. However, this season we have a much better squad depth, so Martin Petrov came off the bench and scored the decisive goal in the 105th minute of extra time to see us win the League Cup. This was huge for us as a club as we carried that momentum into the FA Cup, as again we were prolific in the early rounds, knocking out Spurs, Norwich, West Brom and Aston Villa before facing Blackburn in the semi-finals. Blackburn was still a Premier League side at the time, but this was still a clear difference in ability level as we racked up 3 goals with 3 different goal scorers before Rovers added a consolation goal in the 96th minute. So this set up a cup final again at Wembley, and this time we would take on Chelsea, who we actually have a really bad record against. Elano was on hand in the first half to settle those cup final nerves by tapping into an open goal after Hulk nodded down from a Gareth Bale cross. We battered Chelsea in game, but we could not add a second, and we would be punished in the 93rd minute as Nery Cardozo curved a speculative effort past Manuel Neuer to send the game to extra time. The extra 30 minutes could not separate the two teams, so we headed to penalties. Michael Ballack saw his penalty saved by national teammate Manuel Neuer, but it would be Chelsea who would have the last laugh as Sergio Aguero saw his penalty saved before Thiago Silva hit the inside of the post with his effort, giving Didier Drogba the chance to win the trophy, and he did just that, squeezing the ball past Neuer, who did guess the right way. So it was a huge improvement in the domestic cup competitions this season, but could we get over the hump in the Premier League? Well, this season we suffered a few more losses than I was expecting, losing games to Liverpool, Spurs and Sheffield United, but there was still plenty to be positive about. Because this season was all about our summer signing Hulk, who went off. He scored 38 goals and provided 35 assists in all competitions this season, so a huge 73 goal contributions in 55 appearances. That is just silly. In the second half of the season, we were much more consistent, even going on an 8-game winning run to close out the season, which included a 2-1 win against United, which was huge for the title race. After all the games were played, we came out on top of the table and won the club its first Premier League title a season sooner than they managed in real life. However, it could have been a very different story if United didn't draw 10 games this season. And finally, in the Champions League, we had a much better time of it in the league phase, winning 6 of our 8 games to finish third in the table and qualify automatically for the round of 16. However, the draw gods were not in our favour this time as we were handed last season's Champions League winners, Barcelona. The first leg was at the Nou Camp and Barca taught us a lesson in how to play football as we got ripped apart and they didn't even play Leo Messi. Samuel Eto'o opened the scoring before youngster Bojan added a hat-trick and Ronaldinho wrapped off the win with a brace just to rub extra salt in that wound. So we had it all to do in the second leg as we were 5 goals down on aggregate. We gave it a good try at home, but that first leg deficit was just too much to overturn. We won the games 3-0 on the night, but exited the competition with a 6-4 aggregate loss. Season 3 had some silverware in it, but I feel this team is on the cusp of greatness, so I'll be having one more season to see if I can win it all. I have just over £100 million to spend, so I'm sure we can recruit some top tier names to join the cause as we search for that Champions League trophy. So this summer window was absolute silly season. We went crazy in some of these player sales, and I have to talk about this one first of all. Nathan Manuha has departed to Chelsea. He wanted to go to a quote-unquote bigger club, so he has left to join Chelsea. He now has 20 pace and 19 acceleration, which is ludicrous, by the way. And he's now on £140,000 a week. They paid £44.5 million for his services, and we managed to top up that transfer budget a little bit more as well. Chorluka has gone to AC Milan for a whopping £53 million, so another centre-back gone. We also sold Elano to AC Milan for £35 million. Gelson Fernandez to Lazio for £22 million. Martin Petrov has gone to Galatasaray. We sold Stephen Ireland, who's barely played for us at all. He's gone over to Napoli. We sold Kieran Trippier, who just looks bad. He hasn't developed anywhere near into the football I thought he might, so he's gone over to Watford. Now, on the incoming side of things, our first summer signing was this man, Javier Mascherano. Now, we had him on loan. Liverpool wanted to sell him. He wanted to leave Liverpool, basically because they didn't get into the Champions League. That team is very good. They weren't getting into the Champions League, probably because of us. So we managed to pick up Javier Mascherano for £75 million. He was very, very good the season when he was on loan. Now him, Yaya, David Luiz, that is a good defence in midfield core. Then we raided Hamburg. We picked up this man, Rafael van der Vaart. Now, he went to Spurs in real life. We picked him up from Hamburg for free. His contract was ending. We picked him up on a free. He looks great. There was loads of teams vying for his signature, but we managed to sign him. Now, I did go and then try to sign Zlatan, but he hates him, apparently. So he made me agree that I wouldn't sign Zlatan. I like Zlatan. I thought Zlatan would have been really cool in this team, but Van der Vaart didn't want it. We also picked up Andrei Arshavin as well to be a utility player. He was on a free as well, leaving Zenit. I think he looks pretty good. Has done pretty well over in Russia for Zenit in the last couple of seasons in the game. So we picked him up on a free as well because his contract was ending. We then spent some money on bringing in Captain Fantastic. Vincent Kompany is here. I did want to stage semi-true to some of the players that they did bring in real life. So I brought in my Aguero, brought in Yaya Toure, and now I've got Vincent Kompany. We actually still do have that Manchester City spine of this team. He looks supremely well-rounded. He is injury prone. I'm hoping we can kind of nurse him through, and maybe he can be the difference to us winning something extra special at the club. And then I spent 150 million quid because it was burning a hole in my pocket. We picked up Giorgio Chiellini. He says he's listed as a left back or a left wing back. I'm going to play him at centre back. I think he's going to be a beast. Also because we have Gareth Bale. So I've spent £168 million. We've recouped a lot of money, but this team now, guys, is absolutely stacked. Hulk, obviously, I said he had a fantastic year last year. He is now a natural on the right wing position as that inside forward. He's going to bag an absolute hatful yet again. Chiellini, as I said, we're going to pin in that position. So if we quick pick the unpicked positions only, this is our monstrous team for the season. We've got Manuel Neuer in goal, who has really developed into a very good goalkeeper. Obviously, it's Neuer. Micah Richards, Mertesacker, Chiellini, Bale, Mascherano alongside Yaya Toure, Hulk, Modric, Yuri Zhirkov, and then Sergio Aguero up front. Now, we do have the depth options. Joe Hart's here, Thiago Silva, Marco Reus, Arshavin, Kompany, Van der Vaart as well. Actually, this is probably how we will shape up this season. Daniel Sturridge has been promoted to the first team. He looks like that. He looks okay. Not great, but he looks okay. David Luiz is there as well. Sithole, Comfort Sithole. Saying anymore, but that is the team, that is the squad. I think we are really ready to cook this year. I would have loved another Hulk-esque player on this side, but I am trying to maybe sign Ronaldinho. I don't think it's going to happen. We need too much money. I've offered 150 million for him because I think it'll be funny. I am trying to sign Ronaldinho. I don't think it will go through, but if we do sign Ronaldinho, I will let you know. Season competitions, we do have the same stuff. We have already had the Community Shield where we beat Chelsea 2-1 because I am trying to get Ronaldinho over the line, so I kind of wanted to play through this one. Aguero won us the trophy, 2 goals for him, and Drogba scored the other one for Chelsea. Obviously, we do have the same 3 cup competitions, and this season, in the season preview for the Premier League, we're still predicted to finish in 5th. Micah Richards and Yaya Toure in the Media Dream 11. Cavani has signed for Chelsea. He looks very good in this one as well. Ronaldo, Fabregas, Toure, and Essien. Imagine if this was a team back in the day. Ramos again at right back looks an absolute freak. So we're going to try. We won the Premier League last season. I want to win it again this year. This is our final stab at the Champions League in this retro database. So I mentioned that we beat Chelsea in the Community Shield. It would also be Chelsea that we would face in the League Cup semi-finals. We impressively knocked out both Manchester United and Newcastle on a run to a 2nd consecutive semi-final appearance. We were at home first in the 2-legged affair, and Luka Modric gave us the lead in this one before Andre Arshavin doubled the lead with a cheeky back heel that worked its way past Petr Cech. However, in true Chelsea fashion, they came roaring back as Sergio Ramos thundered home a header from a corner before they made it all square then in the 81st minute. At Stamford Bridge, we took the lead almost instantly through Marco Reus finishing a fine flowing move to make it 3-2 on aggregate. But yet again, Chelsea managed to pull themselves level as Ben Sahar leapt highest to nod home a Sean Wright-Phillips cross. Therefore, the game went into extra time where once again the little Russian was able to be the deciding factor from the substitutes bench, cutting in from the right before firing beyond Petr Cech. And that goal set up a final against Arsenal, which was an absolute goal fest. Thiago Silva gave us the lead in the game before Big Michs made it 2-0 on the stroke of half-time. Arsenal must have got a kick up their arse at half-time as they came out in the second half and bagged 2 quick goals to make it all square, which is how the game remained, forcing us into extra time. However, this is where Arsenal turned the screw as Van Persie and Riga both added their 2nd goals of the game before Aguero netted a consolation in the 120th minute to see us lose the final 4-3. Sadly, things didn't get much better for us in the FA Cup as we were handed an early exit after smashing Shrewsbury 11-0 in the third round. It was Liverpool at Anfield in the fourth round, and goals from Steven Gerrard and Radamel Falcao in the first half was enough to see our FA Cup journey come to an end. However, in the Premier League, you can see we were pretty darn impressive throughout the first half of the season, even handing out whoopings to Portsmouth, Sheffield United and Wigan. This was a real coming-of-age season for Aguero, who was our top goalscorer in the Premier League, netting 27 times in 35 appearances on his way to winning the Golden Boot. We were still very impressive in the second half of the season, but it seems Reading have our number, as they were the only side to do the double over us this season, but we did manage to retain the Premier League title with a huge 98 points and a plus 92 goal difference. So we had a Premier League title for a second successive season. What about that Champions League? Well, in the league phase, we managed to win 5 of our 8 fixtures, but that was only good enough for a 9th place finish, meaning we have a knockout playoff round fixture, and we were handed Spanish side Valencia. The first leg was in Spain, and we really restricted Valencia from getting goals, and Hulks opened the scoring from the spot, and Arshavin made it 2-0 in the 92nd minute. At home, Miguel scored a quick early goal for Valencia, but Hulk was on hand to restore that 2-goal lead to see us move into the round of 16. Here we faced German champions Bayern Munich, and despite dominating the game, we could only score 1 goal, with Andre Arshavin getting on the score sheet to give us a slender lead. In Germany, Bayern pulled level on aggregate as Mika Richards turned the ball into his own net. Then in the second half, we gave away a penalty, which big Miroslav Klose slotted, meaning we needed goals. And it's a great narrative that a true Man City boy stepped up as Yaya Toure powered through the middle of the pitch before curling a superb effort into the top corner. So the stage was set for someone to bag a winner, and real-life Dortmund legend Marco Reus grabbed the ball on the left-hand side and then cut in and applied a typical Marco Reus finish to send us into the quarter-finals. Here it was another Manchester derby, as we'd face United, with the first leg being at Old Trafford. And I have to admit, we were terrible in that first leg, but only kept the score 1-0, with Ronaldo netting the only goal of the game. Back at the City of Manchester Stadium, we pulled level quickly through Gareth Bale, but it was a cagey affair after that, with the game going to extra time. In the extra 30, we were battering United and were awarded a penalty, which Van der Vaart fired home before Andre Arshavin put us into the semi-finals with his goal in the 111th minute. This was where we faced Portuguese giants Porto, and in the first leg at home, we were the far superior side, but only made the breakthrough in the 90th minute through Yuri Zhirkov. We did make it 2-0 in the 95th minute as youngster Daniel Sturridge fired home from close range after Arshavin this time providing the cross. In the second leg, we settled the nerves early with Sergio Aguero getting off the mark. However, on the stroke of half-time, Porto were handed a lifeline as Emmanuel Adebayor calmly fired home from the penalty spot. Then, in the second half, former Porto man Hulk put the tie beyond doubt, rifling into the back of the net to send us into the Champions League final. Here we face Barcelona, the team that knocked us out of the competition last season, and we had the opportunity to get our own back on this star-studded team. We were the better side for the most part, but struggled to break this team down, but IRL Madrid men got involved on both goals as Gareth Bale set up Luka Modric twice to see us lift the Champions League trophy, a remarkable 10 seasons before City managed it in real life. And if you want to carry on this save on the retro database with this team and all these legends, you can do so. The files are over on my Patreon. If you want to start a save for yourself, I will leave links to the mad scientist and his unbelievable database down in that description. And if you want to see me do more challenges on this retro database, let me know about it down in the comments, and check out this video where I tried to save Derby in this particular database in their worst season ever. Could I do it? Who knows? Find out. Click the video.